I wish I could tell you that we are going today to half a dozen stores that will have all the countertops and different options and pricing that we have. But to save ourselves a little bit of gas, we actually called ahead to a lot of these places, and none of them have the solid surface countertops we're looking for. Actually, one did, but it's not quite exactly what we're looking for, and its price range is no different than Lowe's. So if we were going to get that, we might as well get it from Lowe's. And that's a lot of food for thought for us, because we have a very small counter. It's still going to come out just for the materials to be about $1,000. That does not include having it cut, having it measured. Most of them have said that they're going to come and measure it for us and help us with installation. Even if we said we were going to do all of that, which is quite a bit of work, it would still start at a base of $1,000 for materials. So something that Dave has been very excited about from the beginning, but I was a little hesitant about it, is doing our own epoxy countertops. And once I heard this price, I went and did my own research on this, and I now completely agree with him, not just because it's a quarter of the price, but also because the results are pretty incredible, and you can't tell that it's not marble. I mean, you can if you're like a marble expert, but all you marble experts, look away for the next episode, because that's when we'll be doing it, hopefully. So we have ordered everything we need to pour our own epoxy countertop. They should be coming sometime this week or the next. In the meanwhile, we have to prep our countertop. We have to prep the boat so that we don't make a mess. Our good friends did this, but they did it in like a really well lit, no dust little factory space. We're doing it in our living room, basically, kitchen. So it's going to be a disaster. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Meanwhile, on that topic, actually, I wanted to show you. So we've been taking apart our fridge doors and realized that on top of the laminate, there's another, underneath the laminate, there's another laminate. So we've had to de-laminate, de-double laminate these doors. And we've got big plans for them as well. But stay tuned. Thank you for joining us for this episode, and join us for the next one for the fascinating conclusion and probably not a disastrous ending epoxy countertopping pouring thing. Got the gasket material off, which is just this rubber that is not a gasket, and it did not respond well to heat gunning because it's rubber. And it did not, let me show you, it did not come out. It did not come out very cleanly. I mean, the laminate left some glue behind, but this is an issue. So we are going to take the scraper and we're going to try to scrape all of this off so that we can prep it for epoxy. It's a lot of annoying work, unfortunately. Okay, so the inside of the fridge doors are coming out really nice, but I did notice that they are wet, which is not surprising considering they were never really sealed. There's a laminate layer on the inside, but it's not like it was sealed on the sides, so it wasn't really protected, if I can show you. So this feels and looks wet compared to this. So I think we need to give these guys a little bit of time, or maybe go over it with the heat gun in order to cool all this off, dry all these things off. So otherwise, it came out really nice. And we sanded one side. We had sanded this up. We're gonna do another layer of sanding, clean all this up, and we're gonna just fill all this up with epoxy and plywood and fill up all of these holes, and it should come out nice and clean, ready for epoxy. All right.
Oh, hold on. Let me Let me get a shot of your handiwork over here. So we're using some plastic bags just to kind of make sure any drips don't get all over our piping or inside of our cabinets.
Yes, and these are 2 garbage bags that I actually opened up the sides of and using them. This is not the prep for the epoxy pour for the countertop. That is going to be much more extensive and much more sturdier than garbage bags because that's the weight of the epoxy will just make these fall. This is for cleanup, pre-prep. So pre-prep means acetoning, pre-prep means putting a very thin layer of G-Flex, which we have tons left over from our yard work, so that's good. And watertighting any area, which is basically fairing it up so that all this, the countertop itself is nice and as level as we can get it, as clean and smooth as we can get it. And then we're going to run over it with just a little bit of sandpaper so that the product tomorrow can grip it really well. So very excited. We're getting there, and we may need more tape. Okay. Gloves.
Okay. This is the extension to the countertop. We found that we have a gap over here that we'd like to use. Right now it's just a big hole that stuff falls into while we cook. We'd like to get this piece of wood set up in here like that. And then that will be an extension of the countertop, so we have a little more space back there for like bottles and spatulas and things like that. So we've got a brace. We've screwed it into the new piece. Now the only challenge is we haven't taken the stove out, so we've got to get this in. And while this is here, like so, hold the stove down and screw in the next new piece. Should be fun. Okay, it's in. It's not like the most solid thing in the world, but it's good enough to keep it in place. The epoxy and the watertight and then the counter on top of it should provide more than enough strength. So we just need to kind of tape all of this up, get our initial layer of epoxy in, and then we need to get out of here because the boat's going to be filled with epoxy fumes. So I'm going to start taping. Countertop looks great. We have just a very thin layer over everything. Thinner in some spots than in others, but that makes sense, right? It's not self-leveling or anything, we just brushed it on. Today we are doing watertight, which is going to fill in any gaps, well, gouges really, that are in the counter. Fill in some of the old handles we had, and any screw holes we had previously. And that'll give us a flat surface to do the pour later this week. So what we're doing here is we're going to tape this part together so that we have a drip guard basically underneath. This is the bottom of the shelf, or bottom of the hatch, I guess. So we seal this up, put this on top of it, screw that in, and that'll hold them together. And then this will stop us from leaking through with the epoxy when we're doing the top of both of these. Really hard to tape without it actually being attached. But yes, this will basically be the seal that stops the epoxy from going through. Okay, so here we are with the brace on. Like that. So the brace is right here on the bottom side. So we're gonna, it actually feels really, really solid. So we're gonna dry fit this now. It should go like that.
You can let go. I'll lower it down.
That should stop the drips from going into the fridge. Now we tape up this bad boy and we get a bad boy in there.
This is open, by the way, look. All this is coming off. I'm worried.
If there is a leak, it'll just go straight through and we'll sand it off at the end. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Like,
enough,
see?
I think there's enough plastic and tape to kind of fill in all these gaps. I don't think there's anything we can do about that.
I don't think there's any that's getting in there.
No, I think this will pour it. That's why
This will pour?
yeah, it'll pour. I don't think it'll have a choice. I think it'll go into this channel and go in there. Okay. Let's reinforce this. We need a bag in. Alright. Hopefully, last bit of tape going on now. We've got our plastic draped all over the floor. We've got tape everywhere at the boundaries of where we're going to be flooding. And we're moments away from the first flood layer going on. Exciting stuff. I think when we covered the thing with the plastic, maybe it like triggered a bunch of extra pressure that usually doesn't have. But it's not leaking now, so. Okay. We covered the AC vent with the plastic and we had a whole bunch of water on our floor. Looks like we should not cover the AC vent. It's a bad idea. So, looks like it's up for now. They gave us all these mixing sticks. Always running low on these guys. Alright, so I'm going to mix resin, hardener, do a quart at first so we can start our first flood layer. I'm going to add this white pigment to it to make it white. That'll be kind of our base coat. And while I do that, Spandana is going to get the countertop just one last clean done so everything hopefully adheres correctly. Let's do this. Okay, so got black, got pearl, I've got lots of little bowls. We're going to mix little pots of the black, the blue, and those will streak through as we do it at the end. So that's basically it. We do the last pour, we streak the mineral strains through the marble, and it should be done.
Sometimes we act like a fool, not aware we're troublemakers. Sometimes we try to be cool, not being givers, only takers. Stop instead, won't you? Think for a minute who you wanna be for a minute. Don't get over your head, you're like everyone else, aren't you? You could gain from being a bit nicer, know when to talk and when to shut your mouth. You're so moody, always such a fighter. Try to open up your mind sometimes. You'll be just fine. You'll be just fine. Sometimes we yell when we're sad, and sometimes we laugh when we're afraid. Sometimes we smile when we're mad, and some lines we wished we'd never said. Stop for a minute, stop and breathe for a minute. Don't get over your head, try to listen instead, won't